You won't believe what happened when the HOA decided to leave their SUV parked right on our ranch. And trust me, it didn't end the way anyone expected. Our peaceful property, where Grandpa has spent decades working the land, suddenly turned into a battleground over one careless mistake. Imagine waking up one morning to find a big, fancy SUV just sitting there, blocking part of our ranch, without a single word from the HOA. It wasn't just annoying. It felt like an invasion of our space and respect. Grandpa, who's not one to back down when it comes to protecting what's his, came up with a solution that was equal parts clever and unexpected. Instead of calling the cops or starting a fight, he decided to handle things his own way by wiring that SUV to the electric fence that runs through our land. It was a move nobody saw coming, and it set off a chain reaction we never imagined. But what happened next? Did the HOA get the message? Did Grandpa's plan work? And most importantly, how did this all impact the family and our ranch? Stick around, because this story is far from over, and things are about to get a lot more intense. You don't want to miss what happens next. To really understand why Grandpa took such a bold step, you need to know a little about how much this ranch means to our family. It's been in Grandpa's hands for more than 30 years, a place full of memories, hard work, and quiet moments away from all the noise of the city. We aren't just talking about some backyard. This land is where Grandpa's roots run deep. Every fence post, every tree, and every inch of soil holds a story. So when the HOA showed up and left that SUV parked without any warning, it wasn't just an inconvenience. It felt like a challenge to everything Grandpa has built and protected over the years. The HOA, for those who don't know, is supposed to keep things organized in the neighborhood, but sometimes their rules don't quite fit places like our ranch. Their SUV, big and shiny, looked completely out of place, like it was mocking the quiet, rough edges of our land. Grandpa's frustration wasn't just about a vehicle. It was about respect, boundaries, and standing up for what's right. As the days went on, neighbors started whispering. Some thought Grandpa had gone too far, others were secretly rooting for him. The SUV stayed put, wired to the electric fence, and nobody knew how this showdown would end. Would the HOA back down, or was this just the beginning of a bigger conflict? Things started getting more complicated as the HOA began to push back. They sent letters, made calls, even threatened fines, but Grandpa wasn't fazed. To him, this wasn't just about a car or a fence. It was about standing up to people who thought they could bully their way onto our land. The whole neighborhood was watching now, some quietly siding with the HOA, others quietly cheering on Grandpa's fight to keep his ranch the way it's always been. Meanwhile, the SUV became a strange symbol in the community. Some neighbors complained about the mess it was causing, worried about property values and the image of the neighborhood. Others saw it as a reminder that sometimes the rules aren't fair or clear when it comes to places like ours. The tension grew as small rumors spread. Was Grandpa risking too much by wiring the SUV to the electric fence? Could this escalate into something more serious? At the same time, there were quieter moments behind the scenes. Grandpa's kids worried about what this fight might mean for the family, especially if the HOA decided to take legal action. Friends and neighbors stopped by, offering support or warnings, each with their own take on how the situation should be handled. Some urged Grandpa to find a peaceful solution. Others believed he was right to stand his ground no matter what. As the days passed, the SUV stayed exactly where it was, and no one knew how far this showdown would go before it finally ended. Days turned into weeks, and the SUV remained stubbornly parked on our ranch, still wired to the electric fence like a silent warning. The atmosphere around the neighborhood shifted. What started as a simple dispute turned into something much bigger. The HOA began showing up more often, their voices louder, their threats more serious. There were whispers about calling the sheriff or even towing the vehicle, but Grandpa stood firm, refusing to back down. Each time someone approached the SUV, the faint hum from the fence was a clear reminder that this wasn't going to be an easy situation to solve. Tensions ran high at family dinners. Grandpa's usually calm voice grew sharper, and the worry in my mum's eyes became harder to ignore. Some neighbors started avoiding us, uncomfortable with the growing conflict, while others dropped by to show quiet support, bringing food or just sitting with us in silence. The whole ranch felt like it was holding its breath, waiting for the next move. Then, one evening, everything came to a head. A group from the HOA arrived unexpectedly, determined to take matters into their own hands. Grandpa stood by the fence, ready, his eyes cold but steady. The SUV's engine was left running, and the sun was setting, casting long shadows across the land. In that moment, you could feel the weight of every decision, every word spoken, and every risk taken. No one knew who would make the first move, or what would happen when they did. The air was thick with tension, and the story was far from over. Just when it seemed like things couldn't get any more intense, something unexpected happened that changed everything. As the HOA group edged closer to the SUV, ready to confront Grandpa, a loud crack echoed across the ranch. The electric fence had shorted out. Suddenly, the whole system went dead, leaving the SUV unprotected and the ranch vulnerable. Everyone froze. Grandpa's face tightened with frustration and confusion, and the tension in the air turned into something darker, uncertainty. But that wasn't the only surprise. Moments later, a figure appeared from the shadows, someone no one had seen coming, one of the HOA board members. But this time, acting completely different. Instead of joining the group in their usual aggressive stance, this person stepped forward, eyes serious and voice low. They revealed there was more to the story than just a forgotten SUV. Apparently, there were hidden issues beneath the surface, secret disputes over property lines, unresolved complaints, and even accusations that went beyond the SUV incident. Suddenly, the conflict wasn't just about a vehicle or a fence anymore. It was about trust, betrayal, and something deeper that threatened to tear the whole neighborhood apart. The stakes skyrocketed overnight. Grandpa's simple stand against the SUV had unwittingly opened a door to a much bigger battle, one that would force everyone involved to confront truths they'd been trying to avoid. With the fence down and old tensions bubbling up, no one knew how this fight would end. But one thing was clear, it wasn't over yet. The moment the fence went dead and the unexpected HOA member stepped forward, everything shifted. Grandpa, who had been ready to defend the ranch at all costs, listened carefully as the truth unfolded. It turned out the SUV wasn't just carelessly left there. It had been placed intentionally, part of a larger plan to pressure Grandpa into selling a small but important piece of the ranch. The HOA board had been quietly trying to push him out, hoping to take control of more land to expand their development. That's when things got real. Grandpa's calm cracked for just a second, but then he looked around at the neighbors, some shocked, others quietly nodding in agreement. He stood tall and declared that he wouldn't let greed or intimidation win. With support from the community and a few close friends who stepped in with legal advice, Grandpa challenged the HOA's overreach. The SUV was towed away, the electric fence fixed, and for a moment, it seemed like peace was finally restored. But just as everyone began to breathe easier, another twist came. As the dust settled, Grandpa received a mysterious letter, unsigned, with a single sentence, "This is only the beginning." It was a reminder that in this battle for the ranch and respect, nothing was ever truly settled. The fight might be over for now, but the story, far from it. After everything settled, life on the ranch slowly returned to normal, but the experience left a mark on all of us. Grandpa's stand wasn't just about protecting a piece of land. It was about standing up for family, history, and the values we believe in. The SUV incident and the HOA conflict showed us how important it is to know your rights and to speak up when something feels wrong. It reminded us that sometimes, protecting what matters takes more than just patience. It takes courage and a willingness to fight for what's right. The neighbors who had stayed quiet before began to open up, and the community started healing from the tension that had built up. The legal advice and support Grandpa received made it clear that standing alone is hard, But with people by your side, it's possible to face even the toughest challenges. The electric fence was repaired, and the ranch felt whole again, a little tougher, a little wiser.